Hewson, the plastic surgeon who invented power-assisted liposuction, or PAL. I licensed the patent for it to licensees who captured 25% of this new market, which grew to $150 million a year. I founded BioSculpture technology to commercialize my second-generation tube-within-a-tube twin cannula-assisted liposuction, or TCAL, design. Because I used our technology, which facilitated large-volume liposuction, my practice began to attract overweight and frankly obese patients. It caused me to study obesity and the science of fat. I began to target the waist and flanks to reduce the waist-to-hips ratio of these patients in an effort to obtain some health benefit in addition to a cosmetic improvement. I learned visceral fat shuts down the metabolism so that weight loss becomes virtually impossible. It secretes noxious cellular hormones which cause diabetes, hypertension, insatiable hunger, and all the other complications of obesity. Also, being a general surgeon who had done lots of abdominal surgery, it became apparent to me that we needed to develop an endoscopic method and technology for safely removing the visceral fat within the abdomen that was the real problem. The third generation in aspiration that resulted now makes safe endoscopic removal of that killer fat within the abdomen possible for the first time. Our disruptive technology can revolutionize the treatment of obesity. 2/3 of the population is overweight and 1/3 is obese. 43% of the population is forecast to be obese in a few years. 25% of children are already obese, and 80% of the 1.3 billion obese patients about the globe will develop type 2 diabetes. 7 out of 10 U.S. healthcare dollars are spent on obesity-related diseases, and last year's bariatric surgery expenditure for the treatment of obesity grew to $1.9 billion. Current bariatric surgery for the treatment of obesity is either restrictive or bypass. Both starve the belly fat within the abdomen to stop its secretion of those noxious cellular hormones which cause all of obesity's complications. But they also create nutritional cripples that have a significant incidence of serious complications and associated quality of life compromises. Endoscopic visceral lipectomy will not involve cutting into the stomach or bowel, rearranging the body's alimentary plumbing, or leaving behind a foreign body. The patient will leave the operating room and cinch their belt with an improved metabolic profile and lose an amount of body fat that is a large multiple of the relatively small amount of visceral fat removed. And we can go back later and take out some more visceral fat again to avoid any weight loss plateaus until an ideal weight is obtained. Both the device and the method are protected by 2 newly issued U.S. patents. Our method for collecting and processing the removed fat so we can target the worst fat first received a 3rd new patent allowance. 10 more patents in the U.S. and EPO are pending. You can't dissolve the internal fat with external energy without cooking internal organs. Taking out the apron of fat from the stomach or omentum, even when performed endoscopically, is not a totally benign procedure. Cutting mesenteric fat out, the fat in the tether of the bowel, can't be cut. It's not feasible to cut that out manually at all. You can't stroke a manual cannula back and forth inside the belly, and every other powered device needs to be stroked, even reciprocating single cannula devices. And lasers, ultrasound, water-assisted devices, be it hot or cold, also pose additional hazards. There is no other known, safer way of removing the visceral fat within the abdomen, especially the mesenteric fat we suspect will be the most. We're converting production to our planned new product offerings, the first of which will be this EVL device. We've already prototyped and performed preliminary testing of this EVL device, and we've already prototyped an inexpensive upgrade to our current IntelliMotion controller to power EVL and the 2 other planned devices we plan to introduce. And that the controller will remain backwards compatible. To perform liposuction, most doctors insert a hollow metal tube attached to a vacuum underneath the skin into the subcutaneous tissue. It's got a hole at the tip, and they reciprocate it manually thousands of times per hour. It's as rough on the patient and the doctor as it sounds. Dissolving the fat at the tip with the heat from laser or ultrasound makes it pass through the tissue easier, so it's less exertion. But by the same token, it also exposes the patient to the risk of burns. My first generation technology, or PAL, involved vibrating the tip about 3/8 of an inch. That lessens the resistance as it would pass through the tissue and shortened recoveries. I collected royalties from a license that ultimately wound up in the hands of Ethicon, the Ethicon division of J&J. This is the ARC-2 reciprocating cannula that they sold. The technology for which BioSculpture was founded was TCAL technology. It's a tube within a tube, that's the twin cannulas. The tube that has the hole and is attached to vacuum is placed inside a sheath that, in the case of Airbrush LipoSculpture 2, has a slot that's 2 inches long. The hole aligns with the slot and can be reciprocated back and forth about 150 times a minute with absolutely no exertion to the surgeon, and he can just place the tube wherever he wants the fat removed. It unleashes the artist and the surgeon, removing the drudgery of the procedure, shortens recovery, and takes away the surgeon's effort, so it's so much easier on the elbow and his shoulder. The handpiece for it is a power wand as it looks, and the device facilitates medium and large volume liposuctions. With the EVL device, we go in a completely different direction. It's a pistol, it's lightweight, it's electrical, it has a stationary bar because we use the tube within a tube on the back end. That reduces power requirements and vibration. And the cannulas are a new design. They still use a tube within a tube, but they're much slimmer, and it's a much more aggressive design, but it's very much targeted for a limited field of view, as with an endoscopic procedure. It's a device that's perfect for taking out visceral fat. This new alternative bariatric surgical treatment of obesity can improve the lives of 1.3 billion people. Simply put, I want patients suffering from obesity to have longer, healthier lives because of what we believe will be a safer and highly effective procedure.